Welcome to Table Talk. Thank you for joining us today. My co-host, Bryan Kell, is a guest today, along with Micah, who is a supervisor in the Managed IT department at Ben Lomand Connect. And they're going to talk to us about something new called GigaSpire. Hey, welcome to the show, guys.
It's the podcast crew.
It is.
On video here.
I feel like we've been here before.
We have, just to share with the audience, we do have a new podcast, and we have covered the GigaSpire on our podcast. But for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, we're going to bring you this information on Table Talk. So let's just jump right in, because there's a lot to talk about with these two boxes right here. Just give us a brief summation of what our GigaSpire product is.
So basically our GigaSpire product is your modem, router, wireless, all built into one box. Makes it easier to not have multiple contraptions throughout your house or your business, but it's all collected in one, and it's also using some of the latest and greatest technology that's out there and available for customers.
So instead of having to have three different components, and if you turn that around, you can see there's plenty of ports there for all your different devices to plug into that. Everything resides in this one box.
That's
here.
right. We used to at one point in time have separate devices for each thing. You know, you might have a modem here and a router with wireless here. So basically they're trying to combine everything all in one box.
That's handy. As somebody that calls into the customer response center from time to time, sometimes I don't know my modem from my router, so I don't have to anymore.
That's
if
right.
I have this.
That's right.
Because it's all coming in together. So let's talk about the big three things customers look for, which is kind of like range, performance, and speed. How does this measure up?
So this is using the latest and greatest Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi 6, which we'll talk more about here in a minute. But it's got the latest greatest wireless. The router itself can handle the gig speeds that we put out there. But when it comes to wireless, one of the things you're looking for capacity. We notice a lot of homes today, they have every device known to man that wants to connect to your Wi-Fi. Some of these older routers, wireless routers that you might get at some of these big box stores, they're not meant to handle that many devices. And lots of times, a lot of people don't know how many devices they have. For example, when I walk into my house, I've got my phone, I've got my watch, and I've got my iPad. They all connect to the Wi-Fi one as soon as I pull up into the driveway. So that's three devices right there. We've talked about before, you've got like a stove or refrigerator and things like that that connect to the wireless. Once you start counting things up, you're around 20, 30, 40 devices, all trying to communicate at once. So with this router, it has the capability and the capacity to handle more devices. The other thing it has signal strength. Being able to reach from one side of the house to the other. Not in all situations, that's where our mesh unit comes into place. But we need to be able to have good signal strength to reach all of the places in your home that you want it to. And of course, bandwidth is the biggest thing. Is we want it to, since we do have this gig speed, we want to utilize that. So with this wireless router, it has that capabilities of using all of that bandwidth that you need.
Yeah, because I guess sometimes that's the problem, is we may have an old modem that we've purchased when we only had one or two devices, and then now we've got these new faster speeds, and it's just not keeping up, I guess, with that, which makes us feel like we're slow.
Yeah, and there's multiple things you need to look at when it comes to equipment. Since we mainly deal on the business side, what we walk into is we see a customer has a firewall that they've had for 5 or 6 years, and the interfaces that are on the back of it are only 10/100. So the fastest it can go is 100 megs, which, in this case, we're talking about 1,000 megs being the max capability. So, they could be paying for a gig or getting a gig and not utilizing but, a tenth of it. So, having the right equipment in there, having the capabilities is exactly what you need. You'll want to get one of these in there and make sure that you can use it to the fullest capacity.
Yeah, and I know used to, we thought of devices like this just going into businesses, but anymore our homes can be our businesses, and along with all the kids.
We've learned that during the pandemic, right? It was a situation where you have so many people working from home. You've got kids also that are schooling at home. So capacity, devices, that's played such a big part. And this device can help remedy almost all those kind of situations that folks have come into. Another great thing about this is it's part of our Ben Lomand home package, if you want to say. Three distinct things. This particular GigaSpire Blast router. You've got the app, which we'll talk more about in future podcasts and probably even here. But then also that customer support center too, that can help you be able to dig deeper into device setup if you're having problems with that. So if you break down the three components of Ben Lomand Home and it's $3 per month, then this beautiful and really good router, as Mike has talked about, is about $1 a month. And so that's a great thing. If something happens to it on down the line and for whatever reason is there's a problem with it, we replace it. So a very, very good deal for Ben Lomand customers, and to really tie into, as you guys were saying, that gig $57.95 price point that Ben Lomand's coming out for residential customers and business. Makes a perfect pair.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo off what Bryan's saying. A lot of people don't realize they'll go to these big box stores and buy all these routers, and they might take it home, plug it up, expecting it to work. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Or, it works for this part of the time and then it messes up. It's very difficult for our tech support to be able to help you with a device that, one, they have no access to from here, but, also there's so many different brands of routers and wireless out there that, we can't possibly know them all. With having this is our product. We're familiar with it. We've got access to it. We can help troubleshoot that for you with no problem.
Yeah. And Bryan, you mentioned setup. Now, is this something that the customer can set up, or is it something that one of our technicians will come to the house and do? Because I know I moved my computer a few days ago, and it's a rat's nest back there. I could not figure out how to do that.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, will the customer do it? Will tech support, will our techs be able to do that? You can do it either way. We've had folks that have taken this home with them and they have set it up. We talked about it on the podcast. I set mine up. And if I can set mine up, I think just about anybody can. And Micah knows my limitations on that side of things. But yeah, either way, if the process can go, if somebody's coming into our one of our offices, Manchester, Tracy City, McMinnville, Crossville, Sparta, I think I named them all right there, then a customer service rep will work with you on being able to talk about all the benefits of Ben Lomand Home. And then that process can be basically download the app while you're there in the office, and then once your installation date happens, that customer support, or the customer tech, or I should say the tech, will be able to help pair your app with this device during that setup. But yeah, you can take it home and try to do it yourself, with knowing that phone call away is network support to be able to help out with that, or let the tech handle the entire thing.
Now, within that app, are there controls that the customer can I guess, tweak according to what they want to do? Quite a bit.
One of the biggest things, and Micah used to work in the CRC, that folks would deal with was, for whatever reason, they want to change their network password. And so we have eliminated that from it being something you have to call in to be able to do, to something you can do yourself. You can set up guest networks. You can run a speed test from this actual router itself. So many different things that you can do now that you couldn't in the past.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So you mentioned Wi-Fi 6. Tell us about that and how that works with the GigaSpire.
Sure. So here recently they've decided to change, I guess, the naming scheme of the wireless. They used to use letters like A, B, G, N, AC, and then I think it was AX after that. And, to most consumers, that's confusing. So what they've changed it to is, Wi-Fi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then now we're at 6. and I actually think 6E is coming here soon. But with Wi-Fi 6, it's just showing you that this is the latest and greatest technology. Part of that is, there's a lot of under the hood type, features to this that helps you as the consumer use, your phone, easier, be able to get more distance out of the wireless, be able to handle more devices or more throughput. There's lots of different pieces and parts to what Wi-Fi 6 can do for you. But we'll just say that with Wi-Fi 6, it gives you the capability of having these higher speeds that our devices and our life demands. When we're watching YouTube videos and, TikTok, and Netflix, all these, big streaming providers, it gives you plenty of bandwidth for that. But yeah, it's progressing. I'd say, here in a year or two, we'll probably see another one come out. Just it's part of technology.
I've heard Wi-Fi 6 explained, and Micah can say whether or not this is maybe a decent analogy. It's almost like widening an interstate. And also, instead of a device taking up a whole lane of an interstate, you can break that into sections of a very wide interstate to be able to handle this. Is that close?
Yeah, and it is close. One of the things that we run into when it comes to wireless is interference. Interference is a big deal. With these routers and all new routers that you'll see, they're called dual band. If you guys remember our old cordless phones, once we got those, you had the 900 megahertz, then you had the 2.4, and then now I think today's the 5 gigahertz. That's the frequency in which it's running off of, and as you step up in those frequencies, you have more lanes per se that you can drive your internet down, and the more lanes you have, the less interference you're going to have, especially when you're in kind of a big neighborhood area where there's lots of homes around you and everybody has their own wireless router. You have to have plenty of lanes. But also the other side of this that a lot of people don't realize is on the 2.4 gigahertz side is also the same frequency in which your Bluetooth devices use. So I've had a lot of customers and a lot of friends have some interference from like Bluetooth speakers. They turn the Bluetooth speaker on and their internet just tanks. With us and what we do, we see a lot of interference from a lot of different things, and it could be things that the walls are made of. Bryan, we went to that cabin that had rebar and concrete, I think, in between each one of the logs, and you really couldn't get internet outside of those walls. Those are some big hurdles that we have to go over. With the Wi-Fi 6 and how things are progressing, they're trying to tweak that technology to make it to where we can overcome some of the biggest obstacles that we have with interference and getting through certain materials.
And I know homes are just, of course, lots of home building going on right now, and they seem to be getting bigger and bigger. They've got man caves, she sheds, basements, all kinds of, maybe a fire pit outside. Does this device help us with reaching or extending into these larger homes?
Yeah, so what we've got here is you've got your main router here, which, we try to centrally locate that in your home, but, we'd all agree that all the homes are not shaped the same way. We also agree that, there's multiple levels to some homes, and then there's just some gigantic homes. And this one router will not accomplish it. The one router that you buy at these big box stores, they're not going to be able to handle it. So what you have to do is you have to put in some kind of like repeaters, but the way these work are different from repeaters. With these, they repeat good quality signal, where repeaters are
kind of tends to weaken, I guess.
Yeah, because what you do is you generally put the repeaters at the edge of the boundary. Well, that's kind of weak, slow wireless. When you put a repeater on that edge, you're just repeating slow internet is what you're doing. With these, we have the capability of wiring them as well. So let's say you have an L-shaped home where the router's on one side of the house and you need to be able to get it on the other side. You put this on one side, you can wire this on the other side, and you've got two wireless access points running, covering your entire home. So this is just kind of extending it. We call it mesh, because we can mesh multiple ones together to cover your home in full, good quality Wi-Fi.
And I was going to say too is that what we're finding, getting back to you all talking about multiple level homes, larger homes, we're finding that about 10% of customers get at least one of those mesh units. Also, another thing too, some people will find out maybe after the fact of having set up. After having the gig and also the GigaSpire Blast set up, that they need something after the fact, after the install. That's perfectly fine to be able to do that. Is we can schedule you to be able to have a tech come out and be able to add these to your situation. So some people don't realize until after it's all over with. Don't worry, just reach out to us and we can be able to, get that mesh extender out there for you and to be able to try to hit every corner we can with it.
Well, and the great thing about this setup here is, you got $3 a month for this, and if you say, hey, I need better signal over here, or I need to extend it a little farther than we're getting today, you don't want to have to go back to a big box store, pay $300 for another one. That makes no sense. This one, I believe, is an extra $3.
$3 per month, yeah.
So every additional one of these you have is another $3. So when you look at what you're getting, the support that you're getting, and the technical help that you can have with it, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather pay a small monthly fee and have that support where I can call. There's times where the printer loses its connection and things like that, and it is so nice just to have someone to call about that.
And just like with the GigaSpire Blast, if something should go wrong with the GigaMesh extender, we'll replace that for you. Yeah.
And I know this is kind of a managed router. What does that mean?
So when it's managed, we have the capability from the office to get into it and make changes for you if you need it. We can do software upgrades if necessary. We can manage it all from the office and help support you as you need it. But also, like we said earlier, with the app, you can go in there and make these changes yourself. You can, there's lots of different pieces and parts that go along with this that, where you can protect yourself. You can, have more control over your router, where lots of times when people go and they buy these, cheaper routers, at these big box stores, they're not really user friendly, and their terminology that they're using is what I'm familiar with, but not what most consumers are. So with this, it makes it lots easier to get in there and make configuration changes and make it the way you want it to be.
Also, too, in a little plug for the podcast, too, is that over the next probably couple of episodes on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the different ways that you can add to this experience, too, besides just the physical components here. So there's also better ways to protect your devices that are connected. There's also much better ways to be able to manage devices within your home if you've got kids or grandkids that are also part of that. So take a listen to the podcast, but we'll also be coming back here, too, as well, to be able to hear more about how we can build off this and make your home a much better situation when it comes down to connections.
And I guess with Always, I've never questioned the security that we provide as far as people hacking into it and things like that. What kind of security does this guarantee us, I guess?
Well, that's Micah's least favorite word. Guarantees, least favorite.
Okay, provide.
I guess I'll tell you what I tell all of our business customers. Any IT person that comes to you and says, we'll 100% guarantee you that you won't get hacked, they are a big fat liar. And the reason being is because they can't guarantee that. My job for a lot of businesses out there is to make you not low-lying fruit. Because if you think about these scam calls that we get on our cell phones daily, the phishing emails that we get, they're trying to fish for people to click on this, to do things, to give them information. And truthfully, I hate to say it, but they're successful. If they weren't successful, they wouldn't keep doing it. So, when it comes to these routers, we're trying to make you not low-lying fruit. We're trying to make it where it's not worth their time. They want to go somewhere else. And with all these features and functions of this router, that's where you're going to be. You're not going to be low-lying fruit. You're going to have visibility on what's happening on your network and what's going on. Very valuable.
It's almost like having that security sign outside your house that's kind of like warning, I'm protected.
Yeah, move along.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Let's go to the next house.
That doesn't have that. Well, of course, this isn't on script, but I would be amiss if we didn't tell the audience, I guess, where all they can listen to the podcast at. Since I've got you guys here anyway, we might as well give it a plug.
So the Ben Lomand Connection, or the BLC Connection podcast can be found on on Spotify. It can be found iHeartRadio's podcast list, Google, Android, Apple, all the major ones and ones that we have never heard of. So
I provide a challenge. Find one that it's not on. Because I don't know half of these ones that it's on. So it's we're on the biggies, but some I've never even heard of.
And the easiest way maybe for some people to do it is just access the website. I think it's under news and announcements and on that at the top bar of the website. So yeah, we've got deep dives that we'll take into our products and services, and so some good episodes already under our belt, and more to come.
Yeah, we've had great talks with Katie Fork, with Lennon and Grace on small businesses. We've also talked with our CEO,
Boss
Greg
man.
Smart. We've had conversations with our board president and vice president. So, and then we talk tech sometimes, quite often.
Yeah, we got to. This guy knows too much, so we've got to do that.
Well, thank you both for sharing all this information. I love these new products because anything that one is plug and play and two I can get help with is always great.
And I'll take one last moment to say that if you want more information on the GigaSpire Blast, GigaMesh extenders, or anything involving Ben Lomand Home, go to our website and at benlomandconnect.com and just type in the search Ben Lomand Home. It'll throw you to the page, which has lots of videos and lots of information, or reach out to us at Ben Lomand Connect.
Yeah, we've got a full staffed group that sits down there all the time taking those phone calls and helping people, whether it's reprogramming your remote or helping with a connection or something of that nature. They do a fabulous job at that. And I'll thank you for joining us today. We hope you have enjoyed your time with us. I wish you a safe, healthy, and happy week, and join us again for more Table Talk.